Next, we're at Gaddytown in Lexington. I'm out dancing Radio Ron right now. We're going to talk about basketball, some football, some All-Americans, and then we're going to get massages on our legs because this is really hard. KSTV's 30 seconds away. You're terrible, Ron.
No. Well, let's change something.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for watching Kentucky Sports Television. We are here in Lexington tonight at Gaddytown enjoying some pizza, hanging out with Chip Cosby, Leslie Neely, Radio Ron Chilton is here, as we saw on the tees, doing a little dance. I will say this, I know we're going to hang out afterwards. That dancing game is serious business, Chip. I know you're a dancer. Do not go play that dancing game.
See, I was smart enough to stay away from it, man. That's why I'm up here nice and fresh, and you're up here all sweaty.
I'm sweating like crazy, but kind of like the Cats now. Good transition, Chip. They're sweating it out in SEC play right now. 2-1, Leslie. They have Auburn and Alabama coming up. 2 games where you think that they're going to be at an advantage, but like we've seen with Vanderbilt and Tennessee, favored in those games, and even Texas A&M, and struggled. Going into this game against Auburn, what do you want to see from Kentucky as they get ready for this stretch down the rest of the season?
Well, road games are always tough, especially for a young team. One of my friends actually had the best analogy for this team. It's like baking a cake. They have all the right ingredients, but something just doesn't taste right. I want them to make that cake and be good, just have more consistency and more cohesion, and just be more excited on the floor. They don't seem to have that energy through the whole 40 minutes.
Consistency and cohesion, those are baking terms too, aren't they?
I'm using my big
I watch
words
a lot
today.
of Cooking Channel. Chip, when you look at this team, John Calipari seemed almost kind of resigned after the last game that this is what they are, and we're not going to be a team that he said whomps people, go out and beat them really bad. Is that necessarily, I mean, how much panic do you have when you look at this team? Are you concerned at all that they won't make the tournament, or that this is a team that's really not destined to do good things down the stretch?
Well, I mean, I think you have to be a little concerned about the tournament just because they're 10-5 without a lot of quality wins. They still got a lot of games to play on the road in the SEC, so you're concerned. But I think they'll get in the tournament. I think they'll win enough games. The thing is, how far will they go? Right. They have to continue to progress. To me, this looks like a team that can get in the tournament but not do a lot of damage when they get there.
They're going to be scary as whatever seed they are. They're going to be the one that the experts say that team is the scariest 7 seed, or that's the scariest 8 seed, whatever it is, because of the talent. I just wonder, the thing that's kind of frustrated me is you want to see, and because of the Billy Gillispie era, I hate to say it's the toughness. Like, you want to see the guy who says, you know what, we're not getting pushed around. This is our team, we're going to do it. DeAndre Liggins did that, Josh Harrelson, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, that first team, DeMarcus Cousins, Eric Bledsoe, John Wall, all of them, Patrick Patterson. This team kind of seems just very passive. And kind of another analogy we talked about on Chip's show is it's like a pool party. And I feel like they're all, for the whole season, they're all just kind of standing around, like looking, who's going to get in, not taking their shirts off, except Archie, like, cannonballed. Like, first day, just went and flipped in the pool. Do you think, can that be developed? I mean, Wilcher is not a guy, I mean, he's the veteran, but that's really not him as a player to be that kind of vocal leader. Is there anyone on that team that they can pull that out of?
Well, I think that's the problem, is they don't have anyone that has enough confidence to be the vocal leader. Nerlens has been the role model for how to play, how to keep your energy up, but he's definitely not the guy to talk out there on the court. They have to have that, like you were talking about, that catalyst guy that's going to be proactive, set things up, pump people up, even if he has to come off the bench. And I don't think they have that.
I don't know if John Calipari's going to make it the whole season if nobody steps up, because he's coaching 3 times as hard from the sideline because there's no communication on the court, yelling at guys to move here, move here. You've seen, Chip, you've been covering Louisville a lot this season, going to those games, and that's a veteran team that seems, the season started, much like Duke, very well oiled from the start, and they knew where each other were going to be. They knew the sets. They knew those things. Kentucky has figured it out some, partially because Ryan Harrow has come back late, and he kind of adjusted to that. When I look at the team, the experience factor plays into it some, but mostly Kyle Wilcher, his experience was all good. I mean, they killed people last year. He was never really tested on a team that really had their back against the wall at any point, and now they're in that position. This SEC schedule, not very strong. Can that help them, or is that more of a hurt, you think, trying to make that tournament resume?
Yeah, I mean, I think it hurt. It puts more pressure on the Florida game, the 2 games with Florida and the Missouri game, because, beating Auburn at Auburn Saturday isn't going to get them in the tournament. You know, winning at Vandy is not going to get them in the tournament. To improve their RPI, and you know, you can argue about how much that really means, but to improve their resume, they need to win some of these marquee games. They've only really got 3 left. You know, Florida twice and Missouri. So I would think they need to at least win a couple of those. They need to they need to beat Florida at home and beat Missouri if they really want to have a chance to have a somewhat decent seed. Right now they're looking at 7 at best and maybe even a 10. So they need to get a couple quality wins. Problem is there's not many opportunities.
It still seems like a team, though, that's this close to, like, just really breaking through. We had Jonathan Gavoni from Draft Express was on the show Thursday night and asking him about these guys. Nerlens Noel is still possibly the #1 pick of the draft. And Alex Poythress and Archie Goodwin, he says they're still top 10 picks because general managers love them, love their length, athleticism, and they look at Alex Poythress, and he's averaging 14 and 6 or whatever it is, and that's not a down freshman year to them. We see the inconsistencies because we see it every night. Problem is, this team, to be great, they all have to be consistent. There's no picking up the slack because everybody's so inconsistent. Who's the most important player down the stretch? A lot of talk about Poythress. We see Wilcher now. They're 7-1 in games where he scores double digits. Who's the most important guy to you, Chip, in order for them to find that championship level play?
Well, people will say Poythress, and I think there is something to that. But to me, it's Ryan Harrow. I think really great college teams, it starts in the backcourt. I mean, you mentioned Louisville early. You look at their backcourt, Peyton Siva, great player. Russ Smith is fearless, an emotional leader. They need Ryan Harrow, and he's starting to come around, but if anybody's going to assume that take charge, you want your point guard to take charge of the team, not only to make plays, but to kind of settle everybody down. And he's played college ball before. He's got a bunch of freshmen around him. He needs to be the guy. Not only does he need to continue to play well, but he kind of needs to be the steadying force. If he does that, I think they've got a chance. But if he doesn't, I think you'll see some of the problems you continue to see now.
When we did our midseason grades, Ryan Harrow did not get incomplete for me. I think you gave him like an F triple minus or something like that. But have you been impressed because he's really come along and he seems like the closest thing they have to a guy wanting to take the big shot. Archie wants to take all the shots, but the important shots when the team needs a boost, Harrow looks like the closest thing to that. Have you been impressed with what you've seen from him?
Chip completely stole my answer. I mean, I completely agreed with him.
Great minds think alike.
I know, yeah. He is going to be the pivotal point, literally point guard for this team, and you can tell the games that he stepped up, the whole team has done a lot better, and he's talked about how he's been more vocal out there and trying to get things going. He has to put that into the next gear, though. He can't just do the minimum. He's going to have to do the max because UK teams depend on their point guard.
And he has to show – the guys are coming next year for those minutes, whether he's going to be here or not. There's a lot of talent coming in. Look at the national landscape. Kentucky out of the top 25. If you had to place them, not necessarily on the resume, what we've seen, but as a team, how much you believe in them heading towards the end of the season, where would you rank them? Out of the top 25, or do you think it's a team that is a top 25 team, just not with the resume quite yet?
You know what? They're too talented. They have too much talent to dismiss them. I mean, I hear people saying, oh, it's over. Look, they've got too much talent. I mean, you don't know if the light's going to come on, but the possibility is there. And if the light does come on, you know, I don't think this is a Final Four team, but if it all comes together, they can get in the tournament and at least get to the second weekend. And if you can get to the Sweet 16, anything's possible. I don't think this is a Final Four team, but they are too talented to just dismiss and say they're done. I still think they could get in the tournament, and with the right matchups and get hot, they could make a little
in a
run.
tournament that looks to be wide open at this point.
Exactly.
Not a real dominant team. Leslie, end of the season, where do you think the Cats are? You believing in them to put it together and play it kind of like they did 2 years ago, make a run for the Final Four?
I don't think they're going to make a run for the Final Four. I think they are a top 25 caliber team, but I would put them anywhere from 20 to 25 just based on their individual talent alone. For them to get far in the tournament, they're really going to have to come together, and right now it's really hard to see that with these guys.
I feel like I was the most frustrated like 3 games ago, and now I'm like the last one that's optimistic.
It happens with this team. Young guys make you do that.
Well, coming up after the break, we're going to take a look at some of the football optimism and some of the guys nominated for the McDonald's All-American High School game. That's right after this check of the forecast on CN2. Welcome back to Kentucky Sports Television. We're here at Gaddy Town in Lexington, eating lots of pizza, cheese sticks, having fun talking about the Cats. Talked a little bit of Louisville, mostly Kentucky fans here, which I think is good for us, right, Chip?
Yeah, man.
You
Whatever,
gotta go turn your
whatever
back on.
floats your boat.
Now, the McDonald's All-Americans nominees list came out. There are 800 people listed on it, so it's a very expansive list, but all 6 Kentucky commitments are on there, not surprisingly. 5 of them most likely will make the game. Derek Willis seems like he's on the outside, but he was one of 10 Kentucky kids to make it. When you look at this class, Chip, and we've talked about it plenty, it gets more and more ridiculous every single day as they add these people. Are you ready to label it the greatest recruiting class of all time, or what is your measuring stick for determining that?
I think it's pretty close. I think right now, I mean, if you judge it up against the Fab Five, I mean, it's close. Here's the thing, though. As crazy as this sounds, they could still add 2 more 5-star players at least. So, I mean, if they get Julius Randle or Wiggins or any of those guys, I think no doubt it will have to be, at least going in, the greatest class ever assembled.
When they got Dakari Johnson, I assume that was sort of the end of the Julius Randle, Aaron Gordon recruitment. Evan Daniels came on and said that he wouldn't be surprised if they got 2 more guys out of that Julius Randle, Andrew Wiggins, Aaron Gordon mix, which is insane. They already have 6 guys. To me, the greatest recruiting class of all time is last year's Kentucky team because they won a title, and that is kind of the measuring stick for it all to me. What's your expectation for this class? I mean, we talk perfect season. Some people are talking national championship, but we have a group right now that has a little trouble adjusting. Does this change your expectations for next season at all?
I mean, talk about pressure for these young guys. You're coming in as one of the best recruiting classes ever. Like, these poor young guys are probably like, gosh, I have to go undefeated. I have to win a national championship. But that could be a good thing going into it as they have that pressure on them. I think that they could be a Final Four team, but again, I thought this year's team, preseason ranked number 3 was going to go a lot better. So it's just how mature of an 18-year-old you are, because last year's team, they were obviously very mature and got it together very quick.
We had Nerlens was on the show several times and said that he was coming to Kentucky to win a national title. That's what they talked about. Obviously having some bumps in the road this season. But Chip, Derek Willis is a guy we've seen quite a bit of. There are mixed reviews of him. He didn't play AAU basketball, which dropped him in the rankings. What's your take on Derek Willis?
I like Derek. Obviously, I think he was a classic case of a guy that I think maybe the pressure and expectations of committing early to Kentucky got to him. I think once you get that tag of, oh, he's going to UK, guys come out. I mean, he got, I watched, some of his high school games. He gets beat up quite. People are really coming after him. But I think you get him in Cal's system. I think eventually he's going to be a stretch 4, a 6'9" guy that can play out on the floor, can shoot 3-pointers. But he's going to be a guy that's probably going to be around 4 years. And honestly, I think we see this year, a guy like Derek Willis, a guy that's had 2 or 3 years experience under his belt on this team would be valuable. So I think he could be a guy down the road that could supplement your 5-star guys and be the difference between last year's team and this year's team.
I like him a lot as a player, and we've talked with him a few times. I feel like he's grown 2 inches since we saw him last year. He's more athletic than Kyle Wilcher right now. Not nearly as skilled. He's got a lot to work on. But like Chip said, he takes a beating, and he plays inside some to have him handle the ball. I think he's better. He's not a top 20 player or anything like that. I think he's better than a lot of people give him credit for, but he can't come along slowly, and there seems to be value in that, Leslie, in John Calipari's system.
He's also a very aggressive player, and I think that's something that Kentucky is obviously lacking this year. He plays tough. He goes after those guys, and he knows that it's going to be a battle every time they play because he doesn't have Kentucky across his chest yet, but basically committing to UK, you already have that spotlight on you. So I think he knows that every game is going to be a battle regardless.
Football recruiting has also been huge since Mark Stoops came to Kentucky. There was a report the other day that Robert Kimdichie, the #1 recruit in the country, was going to visit Kentucky, which blew up the internet. Turned out to be false. But how excited were you? I mean, no joke. I saw this and I was like, we got to put that on the website. Everything else. My heart was racing. It was still racing when I found out it was fake. It was a mistake. I mean, how excited did you get when you saw that?
I mean, I was so pumped, but it didn't surprise me just because Mark Stoops has really done a lot getting these guys on campus. Yeah. But how many times has your spell check changed Kentucky to Ole Miss? Yeah. I don't really know how that works.
Well, I think that speaks to what Mark Stoops has done in a short period of time. The fact that so many people believe that. I mean, 5 years ago, you say the #1 players would visit. Get out.
I know, right?
But people believe that, and I think that's the kind of optimism and hope that Mark Stoops has been able to sell just in how many ever weeks he's been on the job. It's amazing. I haven't seen Kentucky with this much optimism for Kentucky football probably since you have to go back to Mommy when Couch was here. I mean, it's been a long time.
And that's what I was going to ask. I mean, you covered the football team forever. When was the last time people were talking about it in January? They're talking about the football program.
Probably Couch going into Couch's junior year when you had Couch and Craig Geese, and that team ended up going to the Outback Bowl. I think that was the last time there was this much excitement. And, you know, it's amazing. You know, right now the basketball team's not doing what. Spring practice is going to be nuts.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't know what his policy is going to be as far as opening it up, but they will be packed. Yeah. If he opens it to the public, every spring practice will be packed, I guarantee you.
They've covered every base that anybody's ever said about Kentucky football. The exciting offense, a big-time coach getting into Florida and Ohio and all. If this doesn't work, I will be as devastated as I've ever been with Kentucky football because this is the plan. They're getting football facilities. This has to work. I mean, it has to work, and we will find out this season. We're going to take a couple of questions from the people here in attendance in the audience. I believe we have a question right now we're going to take.
Hi, this is Chris Emick, and my question is for the group. Do you think Alex Poythress could beat our dear Thomas Beisner in Papa Shot?
I'll let you handle this, Chip. You saw me dancing a little bit, so.
Well, I mean, I saw your dance moves, man. I know. I figure you probably shoot a lot better than you dance, so I'm gonna go. I think you can take Alex, man. I really do. I'm putting my money on my man Thomas.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Leslie, yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with you too, TJ. I feel like Poythress just don't care. He's gonna let you win that one.
I was gonna say Poythress is probably better than me. Actually, I know he's definitely better than me. But I feel like he's probably inconsistent. I could probably catch him like 1 day out of 5 when he's up and down a little bit. I feel like I can get him at least once. Another question.
Hi, this is John Dobson. Now that the season has started, how do you feel about UK not playing the University of North Carolina and the University of Louisville?
I'm excited. Indiana, I'm excited that they're not playing Indiana this year. I like the rivalry, but this year I'm glad that they didn't have that extra game. I'd love to kill North Carolina this year by about 25. They're a terrible basketball team this year. What do you think, Chip?
I'm betting Cal is best, and he wished he did play North Carolina now because that could be a win that, you know, might at least a name win.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it was unfortunate. I hope they revisit. And I understand Cal. I understand Cal's logic. He had a young team, and you know, there was some haggling back and forth, but I think those teams need to be playing each other, and I hope they can get it settled and start playing again.
You miss those games, Leslie?
I miss the excitement. I would not miss an L next to IU again because I know that would happen this year. I hate to say it, but I would love to kill North Carolina. They are struggling right now, and I think that's a team, like Chip said, that could actually help us out in the tournament.
Coming up after the break, Radio Ron, who's still, I guess he's done nursing his wounds from my dancing victory earlier. He's going to be here with a trivia question. We're going to have 2 people answering for a T-shirt. But going to break, a trivia question for you. Tony Delk in the 1996 National Championship game against Syracuse, how many three-pointers did he hit, and how many points did he end the game with? We will talk about that right when we come back after this break from Gaddytown in Lexington. This is KSTV. Welcome back to Kentucky Sports Television. We're here at Gaddytown in Lexington, and Radio Ron is now with 2 people. Before the break, we asked a trivia question, and 2 people here at Gaddytown are going to answer with Radio Ron. Ron, take it away.
All right. Thank you very much, Thomas. And by the way, I do want a rematch. TJ and I were in a sort of one of those dancing games here at Gaddytown. And I think I was the better dancer, but you clobbered me with the scoreboard. So you're going to give me a rematch. Yes, I am here with 2 gentlemen. Jim Kammer on my left. Jim, welcome.
Thank you.
All right. And Donnie Jump.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. You ought to be good at that dancing game. Donnie Jump with a name like that?
Been that way all my life, man.
I'm sure. And, of course, you're a UK fan, no doubt, Donnie. And, Jim, looking at your shirt, I may think you might be a Cardinal fan. Right?
That is true.
That is true, and they're really looking good right now. Are they going to beat Syracuse?
I think so.
All right. Donnie and Jim, I have this trivia question for you. You remember the 1996 championship game that UK won under Rick Pitino? And I'm going to ask you about one of our star guards. Tony Delk was really hot that night. I'll never forget it, and he was bombing them. And how many three-pointers did he hit?
6.
All right. What's your answer?
I'm going with 7.
Well, this guy won. Donnie, the U of L fan, won. And he gets a UK t-shirt. Now, do you have anybody that might wear that?
Oh, I'll wear it.
All right, you wear it.
It's a 2X.
All right, it is I think so. Anyway, hold it up because it's got a real cool thing on there. UK, but yeah, there we go, a Cardinal fan. Anyway, I'm going to ask you, how many points did Tony Dell get? Take a guess.
23.
Very good. And what do you think?
40.
24. You are closer, so you get that. Very good. Donnie Jump and Jim Cameron, I'm delighted to have had you guys up here tonight. Congratulations, and we are having such fun here at Gaddytown. And now back to you, TJ.
All right, thank you, Ron. Appreciate it. Do you see any Archie Goodwin like Tony Dell comparisons? I've heard people say that. You didn't...
Not near the
Yeah,
outside stroke. I think
Yeah.
Archie's kind of a put my head down and get to the basket guy, where Tony, he'd stand out there and burn you from three-point
Yeah,
land.
and Archie's a guy that's kind of polarized, like Rajon Rondo was, like when he was here. Before we go, there was a report this week. CBS Sports has Rajon Rondo's pregame routine involves running down the hallway, passing the ball back and forth with the chaplain, running in a circle, high-fiving people, bouncing it off the backboard. I mean, it's so elaborate. So people are asking here, Chip, what's your pre-show routine? What do you do? I mean,
I usually just have to wake myself up off my desk for my little pregame nap, and then go on, throw my makeup on and smile and get rolling. Man.
shake the Grippo dust off your fingers. Chip needs more Grippos
I'm a
than anybody.
Yeah,
I've
your
ever
wife. I loved your wife the moment she brought me that big bag of Grippos.
I'm glad that ended
office.
with bringing me Grippos. I didn't
Yeah.
know that was going for a minute. We could have had a problem. But Leslie, you come in, we do the shows together. Is there anything you do to get ready to come with KSTV?
Maybe have a big old Mountain Dew. I use a lot of hairspray as long as
Yeah.
Bradley's not stealing it from me. You know, steal some of Chip's makeup if I can. But, you know, I don't know about running around the cubicle. Maybe we should start doing
Yeah,
that.
no,
Get
high
pumped
five. We'll
up.
start doing that, high-fiving each other. Other NBA quick hitters, Terrence Jones back in the D-League. Eric Bledsoe, though, filling in for Chris Paul. Best team in the NBA right now. Phenomenal. Are you surprised by Eric Bledsoe, the way he's playing?
I'm not surprised by him at all. I think he got a little overshadowed when he was at Kentucky, so he was kind of like an underdog going to the NBA. But he's a beast. I
Yeah.
mean, this is not surprising whatsoever to
The
me.
little LeBron is what they're calling him.
Well,
You surprised by this?
A little bit. I mean, if you'd have asked me, I think right now, if you'd asked a lot of NBA general managers who they'd rather have, Eric Bledsoe or John Wall, I think a lot of them might take Eric Bledsoe. He's a restricted free agent,
Yeah.
I believe, after the year. He's made himself a lot of money. Some team's going to pay him get him a nice contract to be their starting point guard.
And Wall, of course, is back. What do you expect the rest of the season? Tough to get back from a knee injury. What do you expect from him on a terrible team? I mean,
Well, they've been actually winning since he's been back. I think, and I think it's too early to give up on John. I think he's got to spend the rest of the year getting healthy and getting himself back together. The thing about the Wizards, they're so bad every year. They keep getting lottery picks. So you think maybe one year they'll get it right and get him some help. And I just think he needs a more of a winning culture, maybe another one or two more impact players. But I still think he's going to be a solid pro.
yeah. And Leslie, thank you for being here. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Chip, thank you for being here. Everybody here that joined us tonight at Gaddytown in Lexington, thank you. We had a lot of fun. We're going to go get some more pizza. And Radio Ron has promised anybody, he will take you on in the dance game. So you line up, get Radio Ron, he will take you over. I think he said he'll pay for it, too.
He
So
does a mean boogaloo. I saw him out there.
thank you, everyone. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you again on Monday.